Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome back to another show. Got Kirk on the Zoom line here. Got the Kirk and Pete connection today. We're talking about the Shadow, right? Today's
Yeah,
all about the Shadow. DC's
yeah,
version of the Shadow, right?
yeah. He's been kicked around a bit. I mean, he's an old pulp character.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if people always know what a pulp is. I actually got one for the show, so we could
I have a
actually look.
stack of them too. I should have brought them out. I didn't even think about it.
Because I don't have any Shadow ones, though. I had the Shadow one. But this is actually a real pulp from like 1940
Ah.
or whatever. It's called the Texas Rangers. I got this in some shop like 4 billion years ago, just because I wanted to see what a pulp looked like. I'd heard of them, I never seen one. These predate comics. This is what people used to read before comic books came around. And as you can see, I'm gonna open it up. It's all like it's more writing. This is not a. This is more like a magazine. There was
So basically take the old, like the Bantam and the other little pocket books, which is what I have. I have a bunch of those Shadow pocket books. So basically put that into a little larger format, more of like magazine style, and there you have it, right? That was the norm back then.
They give you the occasional like little drawings in them, but yeah, this was more like just a novel.
You know what it looks like a Reader's Digest almost.
Yeah, a little bit bigger, but like the old. I hate to say, when we were kids, I don't even know.
No, way before then.
I was like, do they still even make Reader's Digest?
I don't know. I have no idea. You remember you used to see them in doctors' offices all the time and stuff?
Yeah. I know magazines in general really aren't doing well. So
yeah.
But yeah, you used to always see you go see your grandmother. She had the Reader's Digest magazines.
Stacks of them.
Everybody had them, but yeah.
So what year was that one from that you just showed?
This one's from 1944.
Wow, Jesus.
So and they come with a great painted covers. I mean, you see but again, on the back though, you see it's got a liquor ad. So these really weren't for like kids. This is for some whiskey. So again, you never got a whiskey ad in the back of your Batman comic book. But these were for adults. But kids read them too, especially like Texas Rangers, and characters started then developing more the mystery man that predate the superheroes really. So you started seeing like Doc Savage
and the Shadow, and I think wasn't some of the Tarzan stuff making its way into the pulps as well? Yeah, I thought so.
You had Tarzan. You had a lot of Tarzan clones. Like Kazar actually started as a pulp as well. Before going into Marvel Comics. So you get those characters who did cover that switched over. But I think Doc Savage and the Shadow are probably the most successful out of those. So in the 70s, there was a big burst of like interest in these characters again. That's when the Bantam books came out that you and I have. That's when Marvel picked up the rights to Doc Savage. And to my knowledge, I think it's a shame that didn't run longer, but but at least they gave it a shot both in the comic and the magazine. They really loved the character and tried to find a home for Doc Savage.
I think worked much better in the magazine format, the black and white. I think that run was pretty terrific. Not that I like the color comic too, but I thought that they did the character and that the team itself justice a bit better in the black and white magazine. But did that even run any longer than, I think the color comic was 8 issues or 6 issues, something like that. And I think the magazine didn't run much longer. I don't think, maybe 10.
No, they both like 8 issues a piece. Yeah, it was really kind of sad because there was a giant size one with the comic book, and he teamed up with Spider-Man in one of the giant size books. But and he was in Marvel 2-in-1 also.
Yes, with the thing, yep.
Yeah, they try. I'll be honest, they were trying to sell it, man, but it just wasn't happening. Which I don't know why. To be honest, I love that character, but the other one, like the other big time pulp character that's kind of survived, is the Shadow, and I'm a big Shadow fan. I love the Bantam books, but I also like, if you look at the DC bought the rights to both the Shadow and the Avenger. Now, the Avenger, not the super team, but the character called the Avenger. But we're going to start with Shadow first, because my brothers and I remember buying this book off the stands as a kid. So, and I got the first issue here.
Look at
And I
that.
mean, look at that cover. I mean, it's a Mike Kaluta cover. Isn't that a sweet cover?
Yeah, it is really cool.
And the great part is he does the interiors too. So you can see even just the basic characters are well drawn. Let me try to get some good stuff here. And he does a great job of just doing dark, it's a dark character. A lot of people even say that, Batman got a lot of his stuff from the Shadow. I mean, it's such a great character. And you can get this book still. I think a mint copy runs you about $35-40.
That's pretty affordable.
Yeah. I hate to say it when you're like, yeah, $35-40.
Well, yeah, when you're looking at buying books for like $150, $200, I mean, it's $35. Not so bad. Not so bad.
No, so it's not so bad. This didn't get a great run either. I'll be honest. Both comic companies did try to make these work. I almost have a complete run of the Shadow books. Here's the second issue, and again, the covers are just
that's pretty sweet.
It's amazing. The artwork's fantastic. Mike Kaluta here had been doing a lot of the horror books too, so he has a real gothic kind of dark, and I mean the difference too is you've got a character here who loves to shoot everybody. I mean the Shadow is big on just he just took people out. I mean, predates the Punisher too, so
That's right. Yeah, he was a little bit different than Doc Savage, who was like, we're not going to be killing anybody. We're going to use the mercy bullets, the rubber bullets, and all that kind of stuff. And but the Shadow, forget about it. He had no such issues.
No, the gloves were off with him, and I got to admit, I kind of like this character. I really am a big fan of him. I mean, you don't really see his face too. It's kind of funny because whereas most heroes wear something over the top of their heads, he actually just covers the lower part of his face with a red scarf. And and he was running around, and he supposedly take all these different identities. Kind of similar to Moon Knight. When you think about it. So
I wore the appropriate shirt today. I didn't even realize it. Right.
But as I said, the character, these stories all take place in like the 40s. Great. Set in New York City, again, just like Doc Savage. Yeah. This was all taking place in the same town as Doc Savage too, so it must have been a hell of a time, right?
And they waited until I'm going to say about 5 or 10 years ago, and I don't know who the author is, but they're doing like a more modern run on Doc Savage now with current authors and stuff. They're taking some like early unfinished manuscripts and they're making new books out of them. And there actually is a book that has Doc Savage and the Shadow in it together.
Oh, all right.
They go at it. Yeah, I just saw it on Amazon recently. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have to read that at some point. Yeah, there's a whole line of new Doc Savage books they've been publishing over the last decade. So I've got a couple of. Like, if you haven't checked out the one where on Skull Island, it's Doc Savage and Kong. Oh, you have to read it. It's quite good. You got to read it.
All right. Now, I think part of the reason this Shadow book, because I'll be honest, if you kept Mike Kaluta on this book, I think it would have had a longer run. But by issue 5, all right, now we saw the first 4 covers, which I'll be honest, are spellbound. But by issue 5, one of your old favorite artists appears.
Oh, I know exactly who you're going to say.
And there he is. And can you see who it is?
Oh, Frank Robbins.
Oh, yeah. And then not only they let him do the interior too.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, but Frank Robbins is perfect for that kind of period piece like that. A lot of people say that about his work on the Invaders, and I'm like, oh man, he just ruins it for me.
I got to admit, some artists grow on you with age. I'm still looking. Maybe I got to get a couple more years in me before Frank will grow on me. I have the complete run of the Invaders books. I think they were well written.
Fun books. Yeah.
Same thing here. Denny O'Neil continues to write it, so it's really well worth getting. So I'm not mocking these books. I have almost a complete run. I found out I'm missing 6, which I've already ordered. But it's a great run. But again, you get these covers and stuff, and Frank Robinson's doing the work, and it's just, I'm not loving it. Yeah, you got the Mummy there, right?
Right, so you got the Hunchback on the one, you got the Mummy there. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, stories are great. What I do love is by issue 9, I think somebody in charge was like, "Dude, you're killing the book." So they got rid of it. And Joe Kubert came in, and
There you go.
and he's not doing all the interiors, but they were getting at least the covers done by people. These again, the books get much better. You get and they get Mike Kaluuya back to do a cover, which again, I don't know why he walked from the book. Maybe he got busy, whatever. And back then, these guys were working like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
By issue 11, you get to see, this is one of my favorites. You get to see he teams up against the Avenger. And so again, you see this. And it's great because, these two, guys, I would have loved to have seen a Doc Savage appearance at this point, but I think Denny O'Neil could have done a great job, but, they didn't own the rights, so that wasn't going to happen. And then they close off in issue 12 is the last one on this run.
That's a cool cover too.
Yeah, it's a short run. The interior was done by, who was this? Was done by, and again, most of this is Denny O'Neil writing. So how do you go? Denny O'Neil's a great writer. But again, the interior art still really nice art, great books. And these are after you get past the number 1, you're dropping down. You're talking like $6 or $7 a piece.
Can't beat that.
Definitely worth it. Now, I will say this: DC, like we talked about how Marvel had tried to sell Doc Savage. DC did their best to try to push the Shadow. They had crossovers with Batman, so I pulled the 2 crossovers from Batman out of my collection. Again, look at that. It's sweet. Again, these two have some issues with each other because, Batman don't kill, but Shadow just doesn't let anybody live. So, it could be fun. But again, I gotta go back and read these because I haven't read these. And
so which issue is that one?
This is Batman 253.
So that's what, about 73 or something like that? 72, 73?
Yeah. It's around the same time this series was being issued. So I think it was part of their idea to try to pull in fans. Because at 253, he shows up, but they were kind of like, all right, let's bring him back for 259. So there's the Shadow again with a young Bruce Wayne this time. So, but definitely great books. I think he's a great character. I do agree. I think the books are great. He was written by Maxwell Graff, is who they said wrote it, but that was a pen name. A lot of these guys who were working on these books back in the day used pen names, which I don't know why. But it was Walter Gibson was the name of the guy who created the Shadow. So,
gotcha. Cool.
Well,
good stuff.
All right.
I wish I brought my books here to show. I totally forgot on that. Well, anyway, maybe you know what? Maybe for our sequel to this, because we are going to do we're going to do a show on Justice, right?
Yeah, Justice Inc., the Avenger.
Justice Inc. So I'll grab my books and I'll show them real quick, my Shadow books, just so everybody can see those. And that's coming up next, guys. So stay tuned. It's kind of like a part 2. These are sort of connected, right? So Kirk's got some Justice Inc. stuff to show off, and we will do that shortly. So look for that next. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for Kirk showing us some cool Shadow books. I got to definitely check some of those out because I'm a fan of the character. I think he's pretty cool. So I love these old heroes, right? I'm just big into that era of kind of comic lore, I guess you can call it, or pulp heroes, whatever, So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your subscriptions and your views, and we'll see you soon. Kirk, see you right around the corner, my friend.
All right, catch you later, bud.
All right.